World leaders have been congratulating Donald Trump on his victory. Ukraine's President Zelensky said he hoped the new president's approach could bring peace in his country closer, while Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu praised the win as a new beginning. European leaders were quick to offer congratulations, although there is some private concern about what his victory could mean for European security. As Jeremy Bowen reports.
During his first term, Donald Trump often alarmed his allies with sometimes impulsive and naive overtures towards the world's strongmen, here with Kim Jong-un, the ruler of North Korea.
And then we fell in love, okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters.
Trump always wants to be the biggest man in the room, but he'll face more complicated challenges now than the first time round, since the summit in Finland in 2018, when he met Russia's President Putin. America's authoritarian rivals are now forming an axis. Putin couldn't fight the war in Ukraine without help from North Korea and China. Trump might find the plan he pushed repeatedly during his presidential campaign this year to end the war simply doesn't work.
I will have that war finished and done and settled before I get to the White House as president-elect. I will get that done.
Ukraine's President Zelensky couldn't fight on against Russia without American military aid. Zelensky will fear Joe Biden's arms supplies might be replaced with Trump's arm twisting to concede land to Russia to make a deal. On social media, Zelensky offered congratulations and appealed to Trump's self-image as a strong leader. For Ukraine, peace through strength is another way of asking for more weapons. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has also taught America's Western European allies a hard lesson, that without U.S. military power, they would struggle to defend themselves. Trump will redouble the demands of his first term, that the Europeans need to spend more on defense. If not, he might threaten once again to take the U.S. out of NATO. From the Middle East came congratulations from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on what he called history's greatest comeback. Israel needed a lot of American help to defend itself against Iranian missiles. The Israelis couldn't fight on multiple fronts without U.S. military and diplomatic support. President Biden would not use that leverage to insist on a ceasefire. Middle East watchers here in Washington believe he might want to impose an American agenda on Israel's.
The Middle East is also on the edge of drawing America into another major war in the Middle East. And I don't think Donald Trump, based on his record, wants that. So it's not that he cares about Palestinians or cares about Lebanon or cares about Iran. He may very well not agree with the theory of the case that Bibi Netanyahu has, which is to expand the war and, if need be, draw the United States into it.
China will be a major challenge in the second Trump term. Since his state visit to President Xi Jinping in Beijing in 2017, China has made bigger strides towards rivaling America as the world's strongest power. On the eve of the election, Trump repeated his plan to put a big tax on imports from China and others, also known as a trade war.
And I'm doing the same thing with China. We're going to tariff the hell out of them.
Longer term, a real war is another risk, with growing military tension between China and Taiwan. Before he leaves office, Donald Trump might have to decide whether America will fight to defend an island 7,000 miles away across the Pacific. It's only 100 miles from the Chinese mainland. Jeremy Bowen, BBC News, Washington.
So, a promise to end the war in Ukraine before he even steps into the White House in January, plus uncertainty over how Donald Trump plans to work with Europe and NATO. In a moment, we'll speak to Katya Adler in Budapest. But first, Steve Rosenberg is in Sochi in southern Russia. Steve, first of all, what does this victory for Donald Trump mean, do you think, for Vladimir Putin?
Well, we might find that out from the man himself tomorrow, Clive, because Vladimir Putin is expected here in the mountains around Sochi tomorrow at an event. He's expected to give his reaction to Donald Trump's election victory. Now, I know that Russian officials today have been working overtime trying to play things down and create the impression, and it's only an impression, I think, that everything is okay. But actually, I think unpredictability is a big concern in Russia with Donald Trump. They remember what happened in Trump's first term. There were big hopes. They were dashed. And in fact, the headline in one Russian newspaper tomorrow reads like this: Donald Trump is an unguided missile. He could fly in any direction. So there is concern about what Donald Trump could mean for Russia. On the other hand, I think Vladimir Putin will be hoping that, since Donald Trump doesn't preach about human rights and democracy, that will be a good sign for him. And there's also hope, I think, in Russia that the relationship between Trump and Putin will work in Moscow's favour eventually.
All right, Steve, thank you for that. Steve Rosenberg there in Sochi. To you, Katya, you're in the Hungarian capital Budapest, where European leaders are meeting for a pre-planned summit to include Keir Starmer. What do you think they'll be saying about Donald Trump's victory?
Well, yes, this is one of twice-yearly meetings between EU leaders and non-EU European leaders. So yes, Keir Starmer, but also Volodymyr Zelensky will be here. And the host of the meeting, Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban, is a huge Trump fan. So we're hearing rumours in government circles that he's trying to organise a video call with Donald Trump tomorrow. But whether or not these European leaders talk to Donald Trump, they will definitely, Clive, be talking about him. Yes, they rush to congratulate him, but many here are concerned for three main reasons. One, security, because Europe looks to the US for defence when it comes to expansionist Russia or defending Ukraine. But Donald Trump is not a fan of NATO, the transatlantic military alliance. Number two concern, trade. For the EU, the US is its biggest trade partner, and Donald Trump is protectionist. He loves trade tariffs, and that is bad news for already sluggish European economies like Germany with its car industry. And the third worry is unity, because Donald Trump does not like to be faced by a strong, united Europe. Brussels, in particular, is worried that individual member states might rush to secure good relations with Donald Trump at the expense of the EU and weakening the bloc.
Okay, Katya, thank you. Katya Adler there in Budapest, and to you, Steve, as well. Many thanks in Sochi.